Putin hammer blow. Ukraine has killed 13,000 Russian soldiers this month. Ukraine killed almost 13,000 Russian soldiers last month, the country's defense ministry has claimed. Meanwhile, the UK Ministry of Defense has suggested Russian President Vladimir Putin is becoming increasingly reliant on ill-trained, ill-equipped, raw recruits 8 months into the war. The eye-watering total amount to 12,730, averaging more than 400 personnel a day. It brings the total death toll among Russian troops to at least 71,200 since February 24th, the day Putin ordered his invasion, according to Defense of Ukraine, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense's official Twitter page, which shares daily updates. A further 950 soldiers were killed on Sunday, according to the unverified figures, with Volodymyr Zelensky's forces making dramatic gains across Russian-occupied areas as they close in on the key southern city of Kherson. Defense HQ, the MOD's Twitter feed, today said, Russia has deployed several thousand newly mobilized reservists to the front line in Ukraine since mid-October. In many cases, they are poorly equipped. In September, Russian officers were concerned that some recently mobilized reservists were arriving in Ukraine without weapons. Open-source images suggested those rifles which have been issued to mobilized reservists were typically AKMs, a weapon first introduced in 1959. Most were likely to be in barely usable condition as a result of poor storage, the MOD pointed out. It added, AKM fires 7.62mm ammunition while Russia's regular combat units are mostly armed with 5.45mm AK-74M or AK-12 rifles. The integration of reservists with contract soldiers and combat veterans in Ukraine will mean Russian logisticians will have to push 2 types of small arms ammunition to frontline positions, rather than one. This will likely further complicate Russia's already strained logistics systems. As winter approaches, the Kremlin's hopes of a swift victory in Ukraine are dim and distant memory, as illustrated by multiple clips doing the rounds on social media. In one widely shared video which appears to illustrate the panic gripping Putin's troops, soldiers are shown scrambling onto an armored car in the midst of a Ukrainian missile strike, likely to be in Kherson. Initially, they can be seen smiling as they speed away, but the vehicle rapidly veers off into ditch, with the soldiers screaming with fear. The armored car then flips, hurling the troops onto the road before the screen goes blank. On Friday, Russia said it had finished calling up reservists to fight in Ukraine, having drafted hundreds of thousands in a month and sending more than a quarter of them already to the battlefield after a divisive mobilization campaign that was its first since World War II. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu told Putin at a televised meeting in the Kremlin, the task set by you of mobilizing 300,000 people has been completed. No further measures are planned. Shoigu said 82,000 had already been sent to the combat zone and the rest were training. Putin thanked reservists for their dedication to duty, for their patriotism, for their firm determination to defend our country, to defend Russia, which means their home, their family, our citizens, our people. Both men acknowledged problems in the early days of the call-up, but Shoigu insisted initial issues in supplying newly mobilized troops had since been resolved. Putin said mistakes had probably been inevitable as Russia had not carried out a mobilization for such a long time, but that lessons had been learned. The mobilization Putin ordered last month after his forces suffered major battlefield setbacks was the first time most Russians faced a direct personal impact from the special military operation he launched in February. More than 2,000 people were arrested in anti-mobilization protests, notably in parts of Russia populated by ethnic minorities who complained they were being disproportionately targeted to be sent to the front. In his Friday night address, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he doubted Moscow was finished calling up soldiers. He said Russian forces are so poorly prepared and equipped, so brutally used by their command, that it allows us to presume that very soon Russia may need a new wave of people to send to the war.